everybody. Welcome to this webinar of Supply Chain Media. I'm Martijn Lofvers. I'm the CEO and Chief Trendwatch of Supply Chain Media. And I have two experts on marketing. We're going to talk about B2B marketing in the next 60 minutes in this live webinar. To introduce my two experts, on the left you see me. In the middle, Nicole Messink, my colleague. She used to be marketer and now she's account manager. And she has a behavioral psychology background. So Nicole, welcome.
Thank you.
And next to Nicole, we have Calvin Bleekman. You have a more technical background and you have 20 odd years of experience in the B2B marketing.
Yeah, that's
so
correct.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So welcome everybody. So a few practical things. This webinar will be recorded. And the webinar recording will be made available on YouTube within 48 hours. The PDF will also be made available through our website. So the whole audience, we have about over 70 registrants here today. So that's great. All marketers in the B2B, especially supply chain. So you are on mute, but you can interact with us. So you see the chat functionality on the right-hand side. I don't follow this chat functionality because probably you will ask, has it been recorded? Yes, it is. So, but the next functionality below are two small text bubbles, and you can ask questions. If you have questions to one of us, please use this question functionality, these small text bubbles. You can even vote on other people's questions. And if these questions are in line of the conversation I will be having, I will ask these questions immediately. If not, we will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. And if you want to have more conversations with us, you can sit down after 5 o'clock CET. So after the webinar, we'll be sitting down in this virtual lounge, and Calvin and I will be sitting there. So if you have more questions, then we will be willing to answer these in this roundtable. All right. As of this point, we put off the camera so you can enlarge your screen and then you have a better view on the slides. All right. So if we talk about marketing, this is the supply chain audience. You want to reach out. You want to connect to the supply chain audience. So basically, the question is, what are these supply chain decision makers talking about? And we have this graph. This is a graph representing what CEOs of large companies, US companies, are talking about in the quarterly earning calls. And in the upper right, you see the phrases they are talking about the most, AI, but also on supply chains. So CEOs are talking about supply chain since 2020 and supply chain is on the top of their mind. Nicole, if you look at this is our audience. What do you think if you look at this graph?
Well, from a marketing perspective, I think it's interesting to see that ChatGPT and AI are topics in the boardroom, probably on different disciplines within the company, but definitely on the working calendar of a marketeer as well as topics and how to use it safely. So yeah, that stands out for me.
Yeah, and Calvin, you are talking to a lot of directors of mostly mid-sized companies, also small and larger companies on their challenges. Do you also see AI, a lot of them talking about?
Yeah, I see the Agentic AI, which is really a huge question nowadays. And then basically in case of thinking that AI or an agent can do all the magic without any input. So that's a lot of question I get nowadays.
Yeah, I also get this especially about Agentic AI agents. A lot of companies are looking at it, but in reality, in supply chain processes, AI agents are only apply to a very limited extent as I see it in practice. So there are some companies are applying it, but that's a small fraction. But more talk than application, I would say. And probably also in marketing, but we will talk about it in the next hour. So these are the topics, the supply chain directors are, wondering about what to do with it. A lot of bullwhips, a lot of black swans. I don't go into deep with all this. So that's quite familiar for marketers in supply chain. these are the bottlenecks they see at their key audience. And basically, all these marketers have some kind of solution to handle all this. But these are the things, a lot of things going on. This is what supply chain media is writing about daily, weekly, monthly. And we have a lot of webinars also about all these kind of topics and how to deal with all this. I get back at the end of the webinar about this. But basically, main point about marketing, how do you involve all these supply chain practitioners and how do you get engagement? And maybe, Nicole, you can explain, we have a kind of model, this model, maybe you can explain how we apply this.
Yeah, it's based on the traditional awareness, interest, desire, and action concept in marketing. Obviously, that transitioned in the last years. And we tried to translate it to our specific company. And what we see is that it translates in concepts, content, channels, and contacts, as it states here. And one does not go without the other. So, for example, if you're just organizing events, your lifespan will be limited because there's nothing more than an event and the day itself. Where we differ is that we create our own content, we have recognizable formats, and we even have our own channels to distribute and talk to our target audience. So the strength is in the cohesion of these 4 pillars.
Yeah, and Calvin, if you look at it, I think this cycle looks familiar. How do you interpret this?
I see a lot of in common with the marketing model of Google. I think it's well known, the See, Think, Do, Care model, and that's also based on the AIDA model. And yeah, this is where the basics of marketing also exist, if I may say it that way.
And if you look at the AI, we talk about AI application in marketing. How does it apply to this circle?
I think it's important to know your if it's around content you're writing for your customer, and you should know where the customer in your sales cycle is, or in your customer journey is, and that's where such a model can help you with. So in that case, I would link it to the usage with AI.
Okay, all right. So basically, supply chain media has hooked up with Boosters, the company of Calvin. And Calvin, you can explain it later what you do if we get there after the next slide. But basically, so a few years ago, Nicole, you sat down and you did some research about channels. And maybe I can explain how you got together with Calvin in our next phase of our collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. I think this flowchart shows where the whole collaboration started a couple of years ago, where AI wasn't that hot topic as it is now. I've created this flowchart when I was the only marketeer at Supply Chain Media, and tried to answer the questions that we had, which is the crucial content piece or content channel across all these different channels that we have and all the ways that it's linked together. Where marketeers tend to optimize one of these arrows. So, for example, try to get as many people from LinkedIn to subscribe to our newsletter. Not seeing the bigger picture, does that even convert to paid subscribers or to downloading a white paper or whatever? So I visualized it in this flow chart. So we had a better understanding ourselves. And within this process of drafting it, I already saw that we had so much data, and I wasn't personally capable of linking them all together. It was switching between data sources. It was trying to put them all in an Excel file and somehow try to see how they correlate. So yeah, I felt that something was missing. It was either knowledge or time, or maybe a little bit of both of them. But I couldn't do it by myself. And that's where I was starting to explore, how can someone help me, or something help me?
So and then Boosters came into picture. Maybe Calvin, you can explain Boosters. What kind of company is it, and what kind of service do you provide?
Well, Boosters is an online marketing agency, and we focus and specialized in data, and last years also in AI. So what you see in this flowchart is that there is a complete landscape of tools and tools and channels, connected lines. A lot of data is transferred from one to another, but there's no central data storage model within it. And I think that's simply said on this flowchart where we can help with and where we have a good solution for.
Yeah. So you see in the middle website, that's the webinar, that's the website of, say, Supply Chain Movement, our international brand. We also have a Dutch brand called Supply Chain Magazine, but let's focus on Supply Chain Movement. On the lower left side, you see some channels, TikTok and Facebook. You scrapped it. So Nicole, have you tried it out? These kind of other channels. What have you done in that sense?
Yeah, we definitely tried it out. Visualizing made it easier to decide which channels we would not put our time and effort in because they didn't convert into, euros, simply put, in our case. So we had followers on Instagram, for example, over 2,000. They were engaging with our profile, but it never led to more visitors on our website or more subscribers to our newsletter. So it was an easier decision seeing that to just stop with it and focus on the things that did contribute to conversion.
And as a CEO and manager of supply chain media, I focus a lot on conversion. So the bigger the arrows, I would say, the higher the conversion. So I think we did a great job. Opening ratios of newsletters between 20 and 50%. So that's huge. And click-through ratios also on a high level. So you've been busy with all these kind of conversion ratios in the last 2 years. Are you still busy with that? Is it changing now, Nicole?
It is changing in a way that when we partnered up with Boosters, it gave us better insights in which data is relevant. When I hadn't had that insight before, I was gathering all data, and there's the pitfall that you kind of get lost in the amount of data that you're gathering and not really sure what the actionable thing is that you're looking for. So maybe the audience recognizes this. When you're looking to Google Analytics, you can ask more questions than that you can get answers to, and you deep dive into more layers of Google Analytics. And by the time you get a sort of assumption, you already forgot what the original question was. So yeah, it's now in the process of focusing our effort and time where it actually converts.
Yeah, and to get a better grasp on the numbers, we have generated over 100,000 marketing qualified leads for our partners. So that's quite huge. And if you can imagine now, we have more than 50,000 members in our LinkedIn group, and we have, I think, 25,000 subscribers to our newsletter. So these are rather big numbers, aren't they, Calvin?
Yeah, that's correct. It are big numbers, and imagine the power if we can leverage from the big numbers and do smart stuff, so to say, based on user behavior.
Yeah, and I've done this webinar, this SCM webinar we are doing regularly, almost every week. I've done, I think, over 100 webinars in the last 5 years, all in Airmeet. So we have all this profile data from all this Airmeet participants in the last 5 years in a database. But again, what like you said, Calvin, you need to have some sort of data lake centrally to get to tie it all together.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's the trick, and that's the hard part of it. Making a data lake isn't that hard. That's just creating a database, but then laying the right connections, making sure that data from is transferred from A to B in the right way, and then the data is normalized, so you can do queries on it to get the right information out of it. I think that's the trick, and that's where you need the experience for.
Okay. Before we get there, because we will talk about how to apply it and how you are applying it with supply chain media. We'll talk about it later. But first, Nicole, you have a lot of experience in marketing, And I know you are quite a fan of Marvel, the comics and also the movies. So maybe you can explain on your journey how you came across, how to, assemble kind of the different kind of archetypes and marketing based on Marvel.
Yeah, definitely. And it was really fun doing it because I talked to a lot of B2B marketeers and they all have their characteristics. So I was trying to map them out and see where they overlapped and what sort of archetypes I could identify. Because when you're going into a project like this and this big, you need a whole team. You can't do it yourself, but you need people with different qualities. And if it's not people, then maybe, and in this era, the answer is definitely yes. Some people can be replaced, quote unquote, by technology or AI. So I think the first step is trying to see what your team look like, what kind of archetypes are in your team, what are the strengths and weaknesses, before you can look for a partner in another person or technology.
Okay. So let's dig into the 4 archetypes you have, created for yourself in marketing.
Yeah. So it's all Marvel related, and those who know the movies or the comics can hopefully see that these are the real characteristics of the characters in the movie. And the first one is Captain America, as it says here. What really his strengths is that he's value driven, he's very authentic, he's very credible, he inspires team and stakeholders. So he's really good in storytelling. Everybody believes him, follows him. He's a real leader. But on the downside, he often struggles with data and spreadsheets and dashboards. So I recognize myself in this character, and AI, and that could also be ChatGPT in this case, helps me a lot with summarizing the data, so I can focus more on storytelling, on the human strength, I would say.
So going to the next one.
Yeah, that's Spider-Man. Well, he's a marketeer with brilliant and fresh ideas, but he's all over the place. He's quite messy. He gets scattered across different projects, always comes up with new ideas before finishing the first one. And I think AI and technology can help marketeers like this archetype with organizing that whole chaos into actionable campaigns without killing that fresh vibe, because that's what he brings to the table as a strength.
And what are his flaws?
Well, he is less structured and consistent. So like I said, he starts on new projects before finishing the first one. Maybe even busy with different projects at the same time, where he tries to multitask, which is not ideal. And struggles with long-term planning, so might focus on one campaign and losing the bigger picture of the whole goal.
I can imagine that a Spider-Man doesn't have this flow chart visualized for himself.
For example, yeah.
No, all right. So yeah, there are 4 of these characters, and they fit nicely in the matrix. We'll get to this point. So maybe to the third one.
Yeah, that's the connector, the archetype from Black Panther. This marketeer type excels in relationships, so might be very strong person to person and in real life conversations. But it's just impossible to maintain all these relationships by himself manually. So he builds trust in relationship. He's empathetic, he's community focused, and he excels in collaboration within his team. But the pitfalls are that he might be too absorbed in people and less in output, so he doesn't care that much in conversion rates and the euros that it actually comes out of a campaign. And he might avoid tough decisions to keep the harmony. So things AI, for example, could do for him is sending mass personalized emails, or create templates for standardized procedures, so he can focus on the human connection.
And he avoids tough decisions to keep harmony. And if you relate it to the flow chart, what would this flow chart mean to him or to her?
Well, it might be the case that he would keep the Instagram account alive, given the fact that there were 2,500 followers of our account, which is, it is a pretty big crowd, and they liked our content because they engaged with it. So yeah, it might be considered a tough decision to just quit with the whole channel and pull the plug.
Okay, good example. Final archetype.
Yeah, that's the strategist. That's Nick Fury. He sees the big picture, so he oversees this whole flow chart. He coordinates the team and different resources that he has, and has this very high level strategic decisions in mind. And the same, the other side of the same coin is that he might miss his details and nuances, so might not really know what type of engagement different channels have. Why do we have a strong community on LinkedIn and a less bigger community in our email subscribers, for example? He can see the numbers but not explain why, because he's not really in touch with the community. What AI can do for him, for example, is that it can simulate outcomes and highlight risk. The pitfalls, he's perceived as authoritarian, and that might be something that might be overlooked and seen not as big as a problem as it is. But I think if you are a leader of a team, you should be part of the team and work with them as well, and not only call the shots.
So this could be me, or not?
Yeah, it could be you, but you're running the whole company, which is, I think, quite different when you're overlooking multiple disciplines. You don't want to have a marketing manager or marketing director that is detached from day-to-day execution at all.
No. Calvin, if you look at the 4 archetypes, and especially the last one, I can imagine that hopefully you are talking to a lot of decision makers, and hopefully there are strategists. So do you recognize the archetypes, and which one are you preferring to talk to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's the most fun to talk to Nick Fury, because he can see the big picture, but he's not in the details and the nuances. And I think that if I look at myself, I would give myself more a Spider-Man. I love the energy of Spider-Man. And I also love the details, and I think the trick is within the details. So that's a good match, so to say.
Yeah. So let's talk about your proposition at Boosters, and that also relates to how you're working with supply chain media, and how you possibly could connect to other kind of companies in the B2B.
Yeah. Well, this is a scheme we made to show what's possible with some tooling, and this is what we are building right now for supply chain media. If you look at the triangle, starting from 1 to 2, is added a piece of company recognition software, for instance, lead info or something. This is where the user is recognized, and we enrich data of a visitor with the company name, and also with which pages are visited, etc. What you want to do in this case is that you're building a data lake, which is important because with a data lake you can make sure it's also created as your own data. It's not data of a third party or whatsoever. It's smart to link this with your CRM, so you can try to filter if companies visiting your website are your clients, or are leads, or are prospects, or whatsoever. And in the next step,
maybe before you get to the next step,
yeah, okay.
How many companies do already have a data lake like BigQuery? Because I know most of them have a CRM, Salesforce, or HubSpot, or Marketo. Do they all have also a data lake for marketing purposes?
I don't know how many companies. What I know for sure is that every company we work with, or work for, how you want to say it, is using a data lake. Because I think that's the real basis of doing B2B marketing the new way. Okay. I think you really should have a data lake, and a data lake is not something you look at what will cost you a lot of money. It's not that big step, but you need the knowledge to maintain it and get the data out of it the right way.
Maybe before you get to the second point, Nicole, you also started last year to create dashboards in Google Looker. So, why did you do that, and how do you think about this, starting all this when you see this triangle?
That links to what I was telling with the flow chart. So there were a lot of different data sources. For example, our emailing software, our LinkedIn community, Google Analytics, so the visitors of our website. And they were all different data sources that were in no way connected at all. It took me a lot of time to manually copy paste them into an Excel sheet and then try to see if there were overlaps in the audience, or if an increase in one channel meant an increase in a different channel. So it was like searching for a needle in a haystack to see something smart in so much data. And with this data lake, it's all standardized, so it saves a lot of time. But of course, it's not only about gathering the data in one place. It's about actually doing something with that data in the next step.
So Calvin, and then go ahead in the second step. So the data lake within supply chain media, that's Google BigQuery, and we also have Google Looker, and that's basically a dashboard view on this data lake, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct. What we did was normally you would connect Google Analytics to Looker, and you would connect Instagram to Looker, you would connect LinkedIn to Looker, but that's not the way Looker is meant to be. Looker isn't that good in combining data. A data lake is good in combining data. So it's more or less getting the right tools for the right job, which makes that all data logic and business logic can be done within Google BigQuery. And from Google BigQuery, you set up a data stream to Google Looker to make sure you get a nice performing dashboard.
Okay. And now in the second step, AI comes into place.
Yeah, with all the data saved in the data lake and enriched with the right information, we set up a AI agent and give it information about the ideal customer profile. So we want to work. We want to let AI search for certain things. And based on the ideal customer profile and on the decision-making unit of the ideal customer, we let AI search for stakeholders. For instance, within LinkedIn, you can do that with an agent. There are also some tools who can manage this. You want to search for the right contacts within LinkedIn, so you can get into a next step. I'll wait with the next step, but that's why where you can set up AI for. You can let AI search with knowledge in big pieces of data, and let the smart stuff be done with that agent.
Okay. And then the next step.
In the next step, if the result of the AI agent can be a contact list, and this contact list can be automated. So what you want to do is basically, if you look at a new contact from whom you know is interested in the product you're offering, in a normal situation, you would head on to LinkedIn, search the profile, and try to connect the person. But you can imagine if there's a big campaign and there are 500 potential interesting contacts over 300 companies, it's a hell of a job to do all the invites, etc. So what's interesting in that step is that you can try to personally connect with those persons through a LinkedIn API and automation tooling. And the nice thing of AI is that when searching for the right persons within companies based on the ICP and the decision-making unit, there's a lot of extra information gathered by AI. So it's information on how long they work with the company, or whatsoever research can be done by AI, and you can use it in the personal message you give within a connection request on LinkedIn, and that all automated. So you can imagine that when you do a manual connection request, you can select the message yourself. You can type the message yourself, but you can also hand it over to an AI agent and also get really personal, a good connection request with a high conversion rate, so to say.
And if I look at, on the lower right side, you have your CRM. You might have Marketo or HubSpot, and that's mainly used for outbound marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you use this kind of tooling for that purpose, or is it too static?
Yeah, you can, but the question is, I think there's a difference between those two. If you're looking at a Marketo or something, then there's a lead, there is something or somebody most times has somewhere filled in their email address for in a form or in a subscription page or whatsoever. And what I think is the nice change of this triangle is that the user doesn't have to engage in that way. In this case, we're looking at somebody of company X is visiting the website, and based on other logic within AI agents, we try to find which person within that company is responsible for the products you offer. So it's not sure that the person you connect to is the one who has visited the website, but the chances are high that it's the person who's somewhere making the decision if they're on that spot.
Yeah, makes sense. And maybe you can zoom in how you helping us with all this, and then also Nicole can step in what she think of this.
Yeah, well, in this case, it's the same triangle with a little different story. We're starting from the top on the supply chain media websites. There are forms to hand a visitor over to one of the advertisers of supply chain media. And what we are adding to this step is that we of course we do company recognition. So before the user sends or submits the form, we know of what company it is. This data again is stored in the data lake, and when it's in the data lake, we can let go some intelligence on all the data what's inside. So the most easy example is looking for more visits of users within this company to know what's happening within the company that's visiting the website of supply chain media right now. So in the first case, we only have a submitted form with a name, address, email address, phone number, etc., etc. And in the case we're building right now, there is a lot of information, extra insights about the visits from this session, but also from previous visits of this company, which can make a bigger picture of what the company is looking for or willing to buy or needs.
For example, like I mentioned, based on the downloads, we have generated over 100,000 marketing qualified leads with co-created content with our partners, checklists, mind map, roadmaps. Mm-hmm. And this is all gathered in our content management system. So basically you can say, analyze all the downloads related to, say, Unilever, and then you get a better picture of what this company might be interested in.
Yeah, that's what the data lake gives you in possibilities. Yeah, that's correct.
You go ahead. Yeah, I got a question coming in, and we'll get to that later.
Well, from the second step is that in the previous situation, supply chain media sends a report to the advertiser with simply basically the information of the form, which is filled in the form. And as I just stated, in a new situation, we can enrich that the report with information of the interest of this potential customer.
Yeah.
So I
And
think that's
by the way,
really valuable.
50% of the people downloading content with us are filling out their mobile phone numbers, and I think that's huge. They filling out a mobile phone number, it's not required, but 50% overall is doing this. I think that says a lot about how trustworthy they think we are, etc.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it also says a lot about the engagement level. I think it's really high.
Yeah. And then the final step?
Yeah, in the final step, that's more or less the result of what we're doing. I try to imagine that if you're an advertiser on supply chain media, you get a much clearer picture of the leads that are coming in. Because you know their needs, you know their interests, and you know what they did, for instance, the last couple of 3 months within the website of supply chain media. And I think that's giving significant more potential to finally transforming it into a lead, or letting sales or hand it over to sales and let them make it a customer.
Yes. So Nicole, a few months ago you were a marketer, and now you are account manager. I think this is very powerful for your new job as account manager for all our partners.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that marketeers need to adjust to as well. And I consider myself a marketeer still. The transition is pretty new. So it forces you to step away from only numbers. If you generate 1,000 downloads of a white paper, it says nothing about your sales opportunity. If the average sales worth is like $1 million, how much is a lead worth? It's a discussion that we have all the time as marketeers, and it's also what probably you need to report upwards in the business hierarchy. How many leads did you generate? Given this extra information, it's easier to show what the results of a campaign were besides just the numbers. So I think that's really valuable and becoming more valuable in the future as well.
So here it states supply chain media advertiser. That could be banners, but could be all kind of advertiser, but it could also be co-created content like checklists and roadmap we have done, and which we publish online behind a contact form. So these are different kind of advertising opportunities, I guess, Calvin.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it should be in the mix.
Yeah. I get a question, and let's handle it quite right away. Katerina has a question. Any tips for creating and optimizing content for AI search, and how does it fit in this picture, if so? Calvin?
That's a good question. I hear this a lot nowadays. I think it's good if you ever optimize something for search engines. I think it's wise to do quite the same. If you look at Google, I have no doubt that you know what EAT is. So you need to make content where experience is viewed, where expertise is viewed, authoritative and trustworthiness is visible. That's the same thing you have to do for AI, because it needs to have value. And of course, there are some technical things, basically technical within the website where the content is published. But if you look at the content has to have a value for your client, for your customer.
And maybe to step in, as a editor in chief and also chief trend watcher of supply chain media, I handle this content pieces a lot. So when we publish a mind map or checklist, I personally am involved to improve the checklist or the mind map or the roadmap to make it more pungent, to make it more practical, to cut through the GenAI crap, etc. So, I think there's still a human touch into this with expertise, etc. on supply chain matters to make it better. And I think, I always say to my sponsors/partners, if you work at supply chain media, I'm sure we will improve your checklist, maybe 1% or maybe 90%, but basically to have a second look by an expert who is, I've been in this field for a long time, that's how to improve it. And I think, Nicole, you are using ChatGPT quite a lot, but still you have to improve it yourself to have a look at yourself personally.
Yeah, definitely. And optimizing for AI search is definitely something you should do, but I wouldn't overrate it. Like, first go back to how important is AI search for your whatever it leads to, website or event or whatever. Is that the biggest acquisitions, or are there other channels that you need to focus your time and effort more on? How should it balance your calendar? Because I think AI search is maybe a little bit overhyped. I mean, I get it that people search a lot of facts on AI, but I'm not sure if they are using AI to advise them in what software they need to buy to optimize their supply chain. I think there's a more extensive research in that decision process.
And I think, I use Google a lot. I use ChatGPT a lot. And of course, when you Google nowadays, you get on the top, you get a Google search result. And you hope to be in there. But I think it's still a high level Wikipedia level. So I doubt if the real decision makers only go through that first part of Google. What do you think, Calvin?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know for sure that being at the top of Google isn't the only thing you should focus on.
All right. Like I said, so we have 4 archetypes, and Nicole, you have created a matrix about it. Tell me, this should be the whole team, I think. What is your statement about this matrix?
Yeah, it's like a starting point. So if you want to improve the insights in your data, then I think the first question should be, what does my team look like? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Are all the strengths covered? And how can we cover the weaknesses that exist? So it's important to look at where you are on this hero matrix or any archetypes you personally like, so that you can identify your blind spots. And when you are looking for a partner, like we did with Boosters, it's easier to have a conversation like, this is where my strengths, and I'm good at strategy and storytelling, but I do need help with analytics and summarizing data, for example. So this would be my very first step.
Yeah, and by the way, we had a session two months ago, live on site at a partner of us, IGNH, and some people didn't know Marvel, but then they have a look at this matrix. Oh, I'm on the right side, upper right, etc. So even if you don't know Marvel, this matrix will help you. Where am I in this marketing field? So I also gathered some data from a report, and this is a report from January 2025, done by a marketing agency. They have done research among marketers, B2B marketers in the US and in Europe. And I have a link to this report. Some findings are interesting, some are quite obvious. But basically, this question is quite interesting to see. They ask, what are your main top 3 challenges, to get to your marketing objectives for this year? And of course, 49% say, it's a competitive landscape, pressure everywhere, budget constraints, 41%, 35% lead quality generation. So that's what we discussed. I'm curious from the audience. Feel free to step in if you have some comments about this graph with this survey results. Kelvin, if you think about the conversation you are having with companies who are coming to you, what are the main challenges they encounter?
the most challenges I see are around sales and marketing alignment.
Okay, explain.
That's within B2B marketing, of course. It's always, if I state it correctly, as a game that if there are a lot of leads, then sales is too busy to call them all. And if we state it the other way around, then it's marketing who hasn't the right leads, and so on and so on and so on. So that's something that needs to be aligned, and the goals of marketing and sales together should be aligned. So they don't hit on each other, but they work together.
Nicole, in your conversations with partners, what are the needs from the partners in the sense?
Yeah, sales marketing alignments definitely, I think, the most heard. And I also like to see AI and automated integration. I think a lot of marketeers would state they will use AI, meaning some functionalities on Canva and using ChatGPT for LinkedIn posts, not being aware of all this more possibilities that AI and automation has to offer.
You know, the 23% content creation demands, I think that's relatively low. I think when I talk to the partners we are working with, because they are in high need, you know, to get their message across, you know, business cases, use cases, checklists, mind map, roadmaps, interviews, etc. I think that content creation is still a challenge in the world of supply chain. Basically, what I see is, you know, it has to be practical, because there's so much ChatGPT fluffy stuff around. So many ways to get more resiliency in supply chain, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't cut it anymore. So I think that the content creation, that's where I get a lot of questions about. Calvin, you also in that part helping out companies. Is that something you experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree on the ChatGPT crap that's going around right now, because if you give a fool a tool, it's still a fool with a tool.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And you, in my opinion, you really need the knowledge of creating good content and knowing what your customer needs and looks for and is hustling with. To make the right content, and without that knowledge, ChatGPT or what AI or whatsoever is not gonna help you in the right way.
So, you know, there was a finding by HubSpot that says, you know, 60% of marketers say that creating engaging content is their biggest challenge, and AI doesn't always solve this. That was earlier this year, and I know ChatGPT is evolving rapidly, but 60%, 60, is stating that ChatGPT won't solve that content creation piece. Right.
I have a great example on that, Martijn, if I may interrupt. I was trying to create a post about one of our events, and I know supply chain professionals are really pragmatic, they're data-driven, so I need to put in some numbers to prove the value of this. And I asked ChatGPT, came up with a brilliant post stating a lot of impressive numbers, like it improves with an X percentage, it cut costs with an X percentage. And then I dug a little bit deeper in the conversation with ChatGPT. Can you show me the sources? Where is this data coming from? Is there what's behind it? And then eventually it says, oh, it's fictional data for marketing purposes. There's no source. So yeah, how valuable is the content that it can create?
Yeah. And you know, we hear a lot, you know, it's about lead generation, marketing qualified leads, and sales qualified leads. And I know that we are working on that also with our IT demo day. We did an SNLP demo day, I think 2 months ago, with great results. But that's only on the right-hand side. So maybe, Calvin, you can explain the 95-5 rule in marketing, and how does it relate to what we were talking about?
I think this is the most important thing I learned within B2B marketing, which says simply that 5% of the total market, or the TAM, the total addressable market, is currently in the market, which means that if you're hunting for leads, you're fishing within this 5% of the total market. And on the other side, we know that around 80% of the complete budget, the marketing budget, is used for lead generation. So pointed to the 5% of buyers who are in the market. And only 20% for the buyers who are out market, which means that within it can be possible that they're not willing to buy right now. But how big is the chance that they're going to buy within now and 5 years, for example?
So basically, you're spending a lot of money. 80% of your budget you're spending on companies who are actually looking at a certain solution at this moment.
Yeah.
But probably, or it's very likely, you might be too early or too late to catch them at the right time.
That's the biggest chance you have. You are or too early or too late. That's one thing that's for sure. Yeah.
So basically, we also had an exercise, but you have, are you spending your money, your chips? You have 3 chips and you have 4 choices. You have either brand awareness, thought leadership, lead generation, and one-on-one meetings. So we did that 2 months ago on site at the event we did. And you have 3 chips and you have 4 choices. And, brand awareness, some people say, I don't put any money on brand awareness. So basically brand awareness in the totally on the left, I would say, isn't it, Calvin?
Yeah, I think the most important thing right now is that we're in a transition. I think that within a couple of years, the strategy for 80% on the 5% market isn't going to hold, and it's seen everywhere that cost per lead is rising. It's just not getting any better. So if we're rolling the dice, I think that lead generation is still important because the company needs to have revenue. But then if you're changing the rest of the chips to thought leadership and brand awareness, then you're focusing a lot more budget on the 95%, which is not in the market right now, but probably it will be within 5 years.
But maybe the thing is that lead generation is easier to measure compared to brand awareness and thought leadership. Maybe that's the trick. That's the point.
Yeah, I think it's the point and it's the truth, but it's not working anymore.
No, yeah.
So I think we all need to change a little bit more and oversee the problem and work on that, instead of just keep pushing the lead generation.
And still, Nicole, I think when we create roadmaps, mind maps, I think that's a part of thought leadership. We publish it and then people will read it and etc. And then they download it. And but even creating this kind of collaborative editorial stuff like mind maps and roadmaps is already more or less part on the left side of the funnel, aren't you? Do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, definitely. You need to be where your audience is looking for information, and in our case, it's safe to say that supply chain decision makers are on our platform looking to solve any problem that they have. Might be a software problem today, might be a talent acquisition problem tomorrow, but we are their go-to platform. So if you are where your audience is, you need to be on our platform or any third party. You can't do everything focused on your own website. You need to be where your audience is, basically.
And basically, this is a summary of what we discussed in the last 30 minutes. I think, AI literacy, you have to know more what Calvin explained on the left side, how to use prompts, how to use AI, and how to connect it all. And on the right-hand side, you still have to be creative and have a story to tell and translate this data into stories. So that's basically the summary of this. What's your take on this? This is the final conclusion of your Marvel archetype analogy.
Yeah. Well, I root for human marketeers. We're not going to be replaced with AI. AI is only going to help us, because if you just invest your money in tech alone and there's no human inside that tech, it's nothing more than an expensive prop. And that's why I had this metaphor. The Iron Man suit alone, it's nothing. You need that superhero inside who still chooses the mission, the story, and then you get that advantage.
Yeah, all right. So we finally get to the Q&A. Before that, to show you, we are on Supply Chain Matters. So basically, this will be the topics of supply chain movement, the quarterly magazine, still in print, but also digitally. You can read it yourself and you can download it. I don't go through it all the way, because if you are interested, you can download our company kit. So these are the main topics. Supply chain execution is hot. Supply chain planning and the AI part of it, that is all very hot, and that's top of the agenda of most companies. Scope 3, yes, still there. Digital product passport is popping up more and more, and supply chain network resilience is one of the main themes for next year. This also translates in a huge number of webinars we are planning. So like I said, we do mostly every week on Wednesday, so you can read it by yourself. We have different kind of tracks: innovation, strategy, resilience, planning, and innovation execution. You can read it by yourself. So there are a lot of webinars we are planning for 2026. Some are already sold. So if you want to do a webinar with me as a moderator and to get a lot of engagement through webinars, feel free to contact us. So that's our webinar topics. A lot of them translating to all the challenges supply chain decision makers are seeing at this moment. And of course, we have also live events. We have our Innovate Supply Chain event in June, where we have also integrated our European Supply Chain Startup contest. We have our S&P Flavor Day that's coming up on November 19 this year, and it will be on November 18 next year. So that's that. All right. So we still have a few minutes for questions. So if you have questions from the audience, feel free to do it right now. We have some time to do answer questions in the virtual lounge right after this. But Calvin, question to you. If you talk about this triangle, what kind of investment do you need to make on effort and money?
That's a good question. There's not one answer, but if there's some technology already in place, then it can be a really small step. For instance, just getting a data lake isn't that much of an investment. I think with a couple of €1,000, you're having the system and some connectors, and there's a new situation where the data is stored centrally. So that can be a small step. And also, if you already have a data lake and you want to do something with data, with enriching data, it's a really small step to enhance it with a company recognition software. Look at parties like Lead Info, for instance. It's just really easy to add them, and the licenses are not that expensive. So I think there are small steps, and if you want everything at once, then it's a big project. But I doubt if that's the right choice.
And what is your biggest success in B2B marketing, or the most surprising one?
I think that's based on teams who are totally stuck in rising cost per conversion. I think in that case, if we can do B2B marketing new style, based on some examples I gave, I think that the results that are coming from that after let's say half a year, that's just brilliant, because the budget is moved to more to the 95%, and then you see what the brand awareness does, and how people come to buy your product, instead of that you're hunting somebody who's in the game for a new tool or whatsoever.
So Nicole, I can imagine, seeing all these opportunities. You have your flow chart to start with. I can imagine that you see all kinds of opportunities. So where do you think supply chain media should start?
Well, we have two different flows of income. So we have our readerships and we have our advertisers. And the most growth potential in numbers is on the readership side. So it makes most sense to start there. It also is a little less money per new order. So like Calvin said, it's not only the cost per conversion, but what is the earning per conversion, I would say. So putting a lot of rare capacity in that area wouldn't be logical. And if that's something that we could automate, there's a great potential that we can catch all at once.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and we are looking at persons within supply chain media that can be supported by AI in the tooling with AI agents. So that's what we are going for. Thanks for now. So basically, Calvin and I will be sitting down right after this. So in a minute, we will be sitting at the table 1. If you want to have a further conversation with Calvin and me, I will be there. If Nicole has to get back home for certain reasons, and for further information, so you can download our company kit. All the plans and all the things what we are offering is in there. And in the middle, you see also the overview of the webinars, the calendar, what kind of stuff we are doing. And there's a link to Boosters, what they're offering, and the contact details of Calvin. With this, Calvin, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's great. It's fun.
And Nicole, thank you for doing this, and great to see your example of Marvel.
Thank you.
And you will be on stage at the NEMA marketing conference soon, I heard.
Yeah, the NEMA B2B exchange on November 20th.
So she will be there live on stage. So the audience, thanks for now, and maybe another time in a webinar like this or in real life. And I see you maybe soon, and I hope to see you at one of our events. Thank you, and I say bye-bye.